Okay, hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and today we're back with another pick a card. I'm doing this in my room because I don't want to take up room in my kitchen where I usually do it, because I have a tendency to do most of my readings in there, personal readings, pick a card readings, just spontaneous stuff in there, and I feel like that just takes up too much of the time of everyone in my household. I don't want them to feel restricted and feel like they can't pop in and out of the kitchen whenever they want, so I decided to just do it in my room. I do have 7 piles, and I was gonna do it in a way where I just put it on my lap, but I know some of you like things set out on like well, this is actually not a table. This is this is actually one of my tiny teeny little suitcases, but some of you guys like the piles to be set out, and because I have 7 piles today, I can't, put it out flat unless I get the bigger suitcase, which it was just long. Okay, so I'm gonna have to do it this way, and we're gonna be finding out what are people's assumptions about you. The funny thing is, I got this idea from, I think, the owl's intuition, because I honestly, I love her readings. And the funny thing is, someone actually, I can't remember how many people have commented this on my videos of saying, oh, I watched you and Owl's Intuition, oh, you should do a collab with Owl's Intuition. And I'm even myself, I'm kind of a bit new when it comes to collabing with people in general. Like, I'm like, how does it work? Like with a card reading, I don't know if it's a collab, or I don't know. But regardless, I love her readings, and I find her absolutely hilarious. She's so funny, and she's the type of reader that I'd feel like, oh my god, we'd be great friends. I can tell we'd be great friends, because her personality is just so amazing. It's just so funny, and her readings always resonate with me. So would love to. So I got this idea from her. I was watching one of her readings yesterday, and she did mention, like, oh, I think it was entitled How People Are Viewing You. And then she goes, oh, I might do how people, what are people's assumptions on you? And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even think of that, because it sounds similar to the gossip reading that I did. So I'm like, oh yeah, I should do that. But I wanted to credit her. So shout out to you for low-key giving me this idea unintentionally. So I have 7 piles today. Pile 1 is Resourceful, may you recover and rise again. And then we have pile 2, Purpose, may you discover your true north. It's reversed. Pile 3, Grounded, may the earth sustain you. Pile 4, Conserve, may you find the balance. Pile 5, Stronger, may you find your roots wherever you walk. Is it walk or talk? Yeah, wherever you walk. Pile 6, Offering, may you honor the earth. And then pile 7, Key, may you let the answer come. So go ahead and pick your piles. Oh, before I let you guys pick your piles, some people have been saying that they appreciate the fact that I do a lot of pile selections because it's more accurate and there's more options. I just want to credit where I got this idea from. It's many years ago. I used to watch, I still do watch Alice Love Exists Visions, but she doesn't really do many pick-up piles on her channel anymore. She does them more on her Patreon. And I noticed that she was the only reader, well, that I know of, that did 7 piles, sometimes 9, sometimes 8, and I thought that was more accurate. And I realized I resonated, I resonated with all of her piles. So then it ended up just being a whole collective reading, and that's probably why she does collective readings, because it just all resonates. And that's where I got the idea. I realized that actually helps with accuracy. So I just wanted to credit her. I don't want to make it sound like it just came from me. But yeah, and also shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for all the support you've been sharing on this channel and on my other channel, Awkward Confidence. You guys have actually boosted all the views and all the comments, and I'm really proud of it, because most of the time it's like, I feel like, okay, if I post something on there, it doesn't really get much engagement, much interaction. There are times where it does, there are times where it doesn't. But you guys have really boosted it, and I'm really grateful for you guys. I love you guys to the moon and back. I'm so abundantly over the moon. I just feel like I have the best subscribers ever, and that's what I mean when it comes to quality over quantity. I feel like the quality of subscribers that I have on this channel is immaculate, and I feel like anyone on this earth would be grateful to have you guys watch them. So thank you so much for the support. Yeah, so let's get started. So I'm gonna make room for pile 1. For those of you who are new here, I don't edit my videos. I used to back in the day because I used to use my camera, and now I just use my iPhone, but that's only due to time constraints. If I had it my way, I probably would go full out. If tarot was the only thing that I got going and I got to do it full time and I didn't have to do any other things, I would probably go full out. Okay, so pile 1, 5 minutes and 17 seconds. You guys chose Resourceful, may you recover and rise again. Okay, we also have the Ladybug and the Sweet Pea, which is happiness. We have 8, be courageous. Some of you guys could be Leos. I think of Leo when I see the word, like the number 8. We have Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, earth energy with the 9 of Pentacles. Then we have 6 of Swords, which is air sign energy, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. And then we have the crown chakra, which is not really attributed to any sign, but I just think of Sagittarius when I think of the crown chakra. So what are people's assumptions? Okay, bear in mind this may not be true, but this is just an assumption. Okay. Okay, so I feel like with the Resourceful, people assume that you are someone who has a lot of strength, someone who's very strong, someone who, whenever things don't work out your way, you always know how to get back on track. You're someone who people can't really knock you down, because even if they do, you always come back 10 times stronger. And it can really frustrate the people who may not wish the best for you. Not to make you guys paranoid or anything, but just in general. Okay, I'm not saying that there's people like that for everyone in this pile, but you just never know. You are someone who you alchemize pain. So whenever you go through something, you take the experience and you somehow transform it into power. It reminds me of the song that I have on my EP called The Alchemist. And someone commented under there saying like, oh, that's like a manifestation song. And I'm like, yeah, it is, because my kind of music, I want to uplift people and allow people to understand that you don't have to stay stagnant. You don't have to stay in your pain. You can turn it into something grand. Okay. And you guys, the assumption on you is that you are a very strong person. And this quality that you have may intimidate a lot of people. You may intimidate people who may not be as strong as you. You may intimidate people that feel very weak next to you. And they feel like if they were in your position, they wouldn't know what to do. They would fall apart. Okay. And it's that strength that intimidates both genders. Like, you could be a woman and men could even feel intimidated by you, and you could be a man and women can feel intimidated. Like, everyone feels intimidated, but there's still an element of respect. So I think a lot of people do have respect for you because of you being this way. We also have happiness. So people just assume that you derive happiness out of your life based upon the things that you do for yourself. Like, I don't get people feel like because you guys chose number 1, and 1 is like a very independent number. I'm getting like, people don't see you as deriving your happiness from other people, from relationships, from friendships, from like, people feel like this happiness is within. Like, you rely on yourself to make yourself happy, and that is why you're happy. Like, you know, you may not feel happy, but you come across this way, and people assume that you are brave. We have be courageous. You're a risk taker. It's giving Aries energy. People just assume that you take risks and you're bold with it. And because you take these risks and you're bold with it, you're able to accomplish a lot more so than people who are fearful of taking a risk. And the beautiful thing about you guys is, what the assumption is that you're not afraid to try something, even if you're going to fail at it, because you can't fail on something if you don't try. But it's like, you're not afraid to try something, even if it doesn't work out. There's no regrets in trying to make it work, because it's all in an experience, basically. So people see you as very courageous and very bold. With the number 8 is all about abundance. So this could even be in terms of anything that's going to acquire to your happiness or finances. It's like, if it's a bold move in starting a business move, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but at least you've tried. And then you move on to a different thing and you try, you just like to explore and see what works best. But this is also in your happiness. So say, for example, if like, oh, I've always wanted to go, I don't know, skiing, for example. Even if you have no prior training, no prior experience, you're like, let me just try this because this is making me feel happy. This is something that I can derive happiness from. You're going to go and do it because it brings you happiness. It brings you abundance. And people really admire this quality about you. Well, this is an assumption. I assume that this could be true, okay? But you tell me, guys, in the comments. It's like, even if it's seen as cringe, you're still gonna go for it. It kind of reminds me of when I started dancing again. As a kid, I used to dance a lot. I used to go to dance classes and I was killing it. I was very confident. And then I went through a long period of my life where I just stopped dancing. So I already got back into it in my adult life, like at age 21. So I felt very scared, but I'm like, let me take this risk. Like, by the time I got back into dancing, I was already a mum of two. So I was kind of like, I don't know. I don't want to come off as cringe. I don't want to come off as like, but now I've adapted to it. So you guys could be the risk takers, okay? And it actually works out for you. I also did try a business venture when I was, I think, 20 years old, and I was like selling hoodies, and that flopped big time. But I don't regret it, because I'm glad I at least took the initiative to try, but with the Nine of Pentacles, people assume that you are very financially stable and financially sound. Like, you don't actually rely on anyone but you, and the assumption is everything is stable. This may not be true, but that's how you come across to many people. But people also assume that you're always alone. Like, even if you're not alone, people assume you are. People assume you're single, even if you're not single. They assume that everything you do is by yourself and for yourself. So if that is not true, maybe that's the energy you give off. You give off this energy of like independence. But we also have the Six of Swords, which is about moving forward, traveling. People assume that you can move on from problems easily. Like, if you have an issue in your life, it doesn't take much for you to move on from it. Or if you have something that upsets you, it doesn't take you much to move on from it. You forgive and you move on. And it's because you want peace of mind, right? So you don't mind traveling, like, even if it's changing locations, changing workplace, changing like whatever it may be, like moving forward, dropping people, moving forward is so easy for you because you're so used to being a traveler. You're so used to being on your own. You're so used to being independent that it doesn't phase you. And that's the assumption people have. But we do have the crown chakra here. So this is all about the higher self. So people do assume that you are in touch with your higher self. As in, when I say higher self, for those of you who are new, higher self is just more so referring to the high state of consciousness of yourself. So say, for example, you may not be your best self at the moment, but you're trying to achieve that best self version, which is your higher self. And people assume that you are very conscious. So you are very much aware of people's behaviors. You're pretty much aware of yourself, your own flaws, your own insecurities, and how people project, whatever it may be. And you don't take anything personal. Like, you just move on with your life. You just soar. And people make that assumption about you that you're very wise for your age. Like, you may be young, but you may come off as older, or even if you are older, maybe when you were younger, people assume that you are older than your age because of how you see and perceive other people. You understand that the world doesn't just exist of you. Like, you understand that, okay, there's a reason why this happens. There's a reason why people are this way. I don't take it to heart. I kind of move on from it. I understand it and you move forward. You come across as someone who likes to understand the world around you as opposed to judge it. And I think that is the assumption people have of you. But yeah, honestly, I'm getting a spiritual vibe. Like, some of you guys could be travelers. There's an assumption that you're always on the go, you're always moving, but some of you guys could be just very in touch with spirituality, okay? But that's the assumption that people have of you. You let me know if that's accurate or not. Could be, could not be, but I'll never know unless you guys let me know. So I'm going to move on to pile 2. Don't forget to drop a comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe. And yeah, have a great day. So pile 2 is 13 minutes and 30 seconds. You guys chose purpose. May you discover your true north, purpose, but it's reversed, okay? And I kept it reversed for a reason, okay? We have the horse and the bluebell, modest fortitude. We have number 5, turn on the light. 5 is all about a number of change. Then we have the Tower card, which is Scorpio energy, water energy. And then we have the King of Swords, which is air sign energy, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. And then we have the Nine of Swords, more air energy. And then we have third eye. Okay. Ugh. I need to adjust as to how I'm sitting down because I feel a bit uncomfortable. Okay, so what's the assumption that people are making of you, pile 2? People assume that you are somebody who you may be a little bit lost in life, because we do have purpose reversed. So you're someone who may not know your purpose right now, but people just have this assumption that you have a great purpose, but you haven't discovered what it may be. Maybe other people do feel like they have an idea of what your purpose could be, but maybe you haven't discovered it yourself. The assumption with you is that you're very consistent with people. Like, you're not someone who, you don't really surprise people. It's not like, oh, I don't know how to predict what pile 2's next move is. Like, you come across as very predictable. Like, the assumption is you're very consistent as a human being, you're consistent as a person, you have a consistent personality, which denotes to them that you are sincere, that you are being real, that you are being authentic, because you're not someone who you're going to change who you are based on who you're with. Who you are is who you are. So say, for example, if you're very introverted, or you're going to stay introverted with no matter who you're with. Like, no matter how many people you meet, you may have the same personality. You don't try to alter your personality to fit in with everybody in the room. Like, you just say, like, this is me, and this is going to be me with this person, I'm just going to be me. So you come across as very consistent with people. But this is also when it comes to things that you're really passionate about and people you really care about, you're very consistent. You never give up. I feel like you guys don't let things go. Like, say, for example, if I don't know, in a school, a workplace, or whatever, you've been wronged, like, you don't let that go. You keep fighting for your own justice until the outcome is the outcome that you need. So you're very resilient. The assumption here is that you're really resilient, okay? There's also an assumption that you are very intuitive. So some of you guys could be water signs as well, but we do have a third eye. I don't know if you can see that. The lighting's a bit off, but yeah, like, the assumption is that you're very intuitive. You're a good judge of character. You could also be very selective with who you give your time and energy to, simply because of how selective and intuitive you can be. I heard worrywart for some of you. So the assumption could be that you worry too much about things that don't need to be worried about, because we have the 9 of Swords and the Tower card. So, like, 9 of Swords is like someone who overthinks, overanalyzes, overstresses about something. And then the Tower is like everything crumbling down, but it also represents sudden change. Like, I feel like the assumption on you is that you may overthink and overanalyze things to the point where it gives you anxiety. You could be seen as overthinkers and worrywarts, even if the situation may not be as daunting or as anxious as you feel. But people feel like you're very sensitive, okay? And that comes, as I think I was saying this in a personal reading, that sometimes when you're a very intuitive person, you can come across as very sensitive to other people, because not only are you sensitive, but you're sensitive to their energy. You pick up on their thoughts, their emotions, and on top of that, it's like, sensitivity is not always, oh, I want to cry. Sometimes sensitivity is like, you also pick up on their moods. So then you start maybe emulating their moods unintentionally, or you feel too much. Even physically, you may feel like, why do I feel the energies off? Why do I feel drained? Why do I feel this? Meanwhile, it's somebody else's emotions you're picking up on, not your own, but you may not be able to differentiate. So it can be a bit overwhelming. It's almost like being a very intuitive person, or an empath, as I like to say, is almost similar to being autistic as well, because people on the spectrum are also very sensitive to physical things, but they're also sensitive to other people's energy and noises and sounds, and everything could be overwhelming at times. So you guys could have those traits even if you're not on the spectrum, right? But the assumption that people have also made about you is that you're very, like, sensitive in general. I think it doesn't take much to make you feel overwhelmed, okay? So you may be the type that wants to retreat if something is a bit too much for you, okay? But we do have number 5, turn on the light. So the 5 is all about change, and turn on the light is a positive card. So people do assume that even though something may not be working out for you, you always find a way to change the scenario, whether it's intentional or not, whether it's you that's changing it, or I don't know, God just really loves you, so you end up being in a better situation afterwards. But I think also, oh, I'm getting another message. No one has dimmed out your innocence, if that makes sense. Like, no matter how many times someone's been horrible to you, or something has not worked out for you, or things have not happened your way, or you've been treated unfairly by either people or by God or the universe, whatever you believe in, it doesn't change who you are. Like, it doesn't make you a bitter person. It doesn't make you start treating people badly because of it. It makes you actually still maintain this innocence, this sweetness, this kindness about you. The assumption is you are someone who needs to be protected at all costs. and the assumption is that you're someone who you don't deserve the pain that you go through. Like, a lot of people sympathize with you, pal, too. You are the type of person that's very kind and very caring, and you're not always met with that same energy. So people assume that you deserve all the love that you have to give, and you deserve it back, like given back to you. But yeah, very intuitive. With this King of Swords, you may have resting bee face. Like, why does this power remind me of my best friend? Like, you may have resting bee face. Like, you may come across as someone who doesn't have any emotion. Like, you may be rooted in logic. You may react in a very patient and calm, cool manner when it comes to things. But deep down, like, you feel a lot. I feel like people assume that you just don't have any feelings because you may not be expressive with it. But this King of Swords is fair. He's just, you know? So you guys are coming across as very fair, very just, very intelligent people, very smart. The assumption is that you're very smart and very capable of many things. But then you may not be as expressive emotionally, even though people know deep down you are. Like, for example, if you are someone who overthinks a lot, like, people are aware that you may get anxiety, but you may not cry. You may not ask for help. You may not show it, but you feel it, and people can sense that there's a lot on your mind. People can sense that you're worrying about something, but they don't realize the magnitude of the pain you're feeling. I was actually on the phone to my friend Jack yesterday, and one thing I did mention is something that reminded me of birth. Like, when I've given birth to both of my children, well, naturally my last child, not the first one. What happens, this is very common in the UK, so if you've had a baby in the UK and you're a person of color, you'll know this. But if you are someone who has a high pain tolerance, or you seem to be handling your pain well, they're very quick to dismiss you. They're like, go home. Even if you're ready to give birth, they're like, go home, because they think that you can handle it. But services should not be denied to those who are deemed as stronger than the other. Like, it's a hospital. Like, regardless, a hospital, like, you're gonna have to give birth there at some point. But they're quick to turn you away if they feel like you are strong, and your strength to them means that, oh, it must not be severe pain. We don't need to give you pain medication. Everything's fine. And I delivered 2 of my babies naturally. I did not have any pain relief. The only thing I had close to pain relief, I guess, was what's it called when you inhale I think it's oxide. I don't know what it's called, but you inhale something, and it does not remove the pain, by the way. It's something that a lot of the youth in the UK use to get high. Like, they blow up their balloons and they fill it up with that gas to get high. It's that same thing that they give to pregnant women, and it does not release any pain. It just serves as a distraction. And because I don't come across as someone who's feeling pain, they're thinking you're fine, you're gonna go home. But in that moment, I know the pain is so severe, I'm just deepening it, I'm just firming it. I'm like, I ain't going home. I did not come all this way to be turned away. Hell no. I'm ready to give birth. And I did. I knew my body better than them. They thought, like, you're not even dilated that far, and I was. I just didn't look like I was. But I digress. The reason why I brought that up is because you guys may have this same assumption put on you where you appear fine to other people, but you're not, you know, like, something's very, like, traumatizing, you know? So I feel like people do sense that, but they would like to see more of a help me side of you, or a more of a tearful side of you, so that people can, because I don't know if you guys believe this or not, pal, too. You may feel like no one cares, but I'm getting people do. They just assume that you're so strong, or that you've got it together, or that you want to be left alone, okay? But regardless, the anxiety here, people assume that you're a very anxious person, okay? But very consistent, very hardworking, very intelligent, and someone who, yeah, like you, I think you also, there's an assumption that you alone, your energy is so sweet and so empathetic towards others that you inspire other people to also be that kind and caring, okay? And it makes them want to be. Okay, but that's what I'm getting for pile number 2. Let me know your thoughts on that, if that resonates, if you feel like that's accurate to who you are, and don't be afraid to drop a comment down below. I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to move on to pile 3. So 23 minutes and 45 seconds. Pile 3, you guys chose grounded. May the earth sustain you. We have the bee and the pomegranate, which is productivity. We have 58, give yourself the best. 5 is a number of change, and 8 is a number of abundance. Add 5 and 8 together, and you get 13, which rounds back to 4, which is stability, okay? We have 5 sign energy with the Page of Wands. Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Then we have earth sign energy, 6 of Pentacles, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. Then we have water sign energy with the 7 of Cups, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. And then we have the twin flame. Again, I'm contemplating whether I should throw that card away, because again, I made that card when there was a pandemic of, this person's my twin flame, even though they're very toxic. This person's the person I want to be with, even though they treat me like shit. Like that kind of era. And like, I'm trying my best to get away from that era, because I myself fell victim to that. I myself was with someone at some point where I'm like, they're my twin flame, and like they were very toxic. But I feel like that was an integral connection that molded me into who I am today, which I'm proud I went through, even though it came with a lot of pain, you know. But I digress. But let's just say that this card is someone you have a strong connection with. Okay, let's not call it twin flame. Let's just call it someone you have a strong connection with. Okay, so what are these assumptions on pile 3? People assume that you're very grounded. Okay, we literally have grounded here. Okay, that you're calm, cool, collected, you got your finances on point, your life is on point, everything works out in your favor. People just assume you have no problems. Like, it's very weird. Like, it's so fascinating to know the perception of other people. People just assume you have no problems, no burdens, no nothing, and everything's hunky-dory for you. We have productivity, so people make the assumption that you're very busy. You could be a very busy bee. There's a bee on the card. You could be someone who's like a fire sign, air sign, masculine energy, even if you are a woman. Like, you could be someone who never sits down. People could also assume that you have ADHD, because you always feel the need to get up early, get things done, and like rest. Who is rest? Like, people rarely see you in a state of relaxation or taking time to just enjoy life and be present. Like, people always feel like you're on the go. I feel like, if I'm honest, I feel like recently I've been watching my own videos back and trying to pick a pile for myself, because I feel like I can relate to some of these piles. Especially with the whole workaholic. Like, I identify myself as a workaholic, and some of my work is online. Some of my work involves being on my phone, and I can see how, you know, to people in my household, whether it's my partner or my kids, I can see how that comes across as, oh, I'm just having leisure time, but really I'm making money. So it's like, I never allow myself to just rest and spend time with my loved ones. So I think I can relate to this pile. But regardless, with the productivity, yeah, people assume that you're very busy, always active. You always have something to do. You can't sit still, but you're very grounded. That busyness is interlinked with your finances. We do have give yourself the best. So people assume that you have really high expectations for yourself. You have high standards. You don't settle for anything unless it is the best for you. 5 is all about change. So people feel like you're not afraid to take new risks, new changes, and meet new people, network with new things, as long as it's going to get you to where you need to be. People see you as very goal orientated. But then 8 is about abundance. So people feel like you don't mind making changes into your life if it brings you abundance. But again, 5 plus 8 equals 13, I think. Yeah, 13. But it rounds to 4. So stability. Like, with you don't mind making necessary changes as long as it brings you more stability. So with you, it's like, okay, like, again, for example, let me take myself. If I feel like, okay, I can step my money up if I put more hours in, or if I work more hard, or if I market myself a bit differently, then I'm going to do it. So you guys are someone who has high expectations. It's almost like this quote of saying, doing the same thing over and over again with the same result is madness. So you guys are the type of people that, well, this is the assumption, that if you want something different in your life, you feel the need that you have to change some parts of your life so that you can attain it. So say, for example, if you feel like, okay, this is not working for me. It worked for me before, but it's not working for me now. I need to change the strategy. Okay, so even in terms of love, like, you may have attracted people who are very emotionally closed off, immature, whatever it may be. So you're like, okay, now I need to raise my standards so that someone who is more of my match, I can identify, and anyone who isn't, I can let them go. Okay, so it's like you guys are not afraid to take the lessons you're learning from wherever you're at and multiply them and boss up and glow up. Some of you guys, it could even be about yourself. Again, I'm going to use myself for example. Like, if I feel like, oh my God, I've been putting on some weight, like, I don't like how I'm getting bigger and bigger and bigger, I'm like, okay, go on a diet. Okay, work out. Like, you guys are the type of people that you're not afraid to make changes in your life if it's going to benefit you long term. Okay. I heard something about being marketable. So maybe some people, the assumption on you is that you're seen as very marketable. Okay. We do have the Page of Wands. So people do, there's an assumption that you are inspirational, but you also seek inspiration in your surroundings, in your life. People see you as someone who's very vibrant. You're not afraid to admire others, clap for others, and therefore people like to admire you and clap for you too. So there's an assumption that you are a people's people, especially if you're a woman, you're a girl's girl. You like to see people thrive, and people like to see you thrive. Like, you're genuinely like good vibes. People assume that you're very creative, very innovative, but also with the Six of Pentacles, people see you as someone who's very generous. Like, the assumption is that you're a generous person. Like, when you make all this money, you don't just splurge on yourself. Like, you use it to take care of the people you love. You use it to help like other people. There's a generosity coming through. So people assume that you're very generous and humanitarian based. But I'm also getting, some people may make an assumption that people are generous with you. People give you time, attention, money, whatever it may be. And people just love that. Like, people feel like you are someone who you have an equal balance of give and take with other people, and people feel like you'd make an ideal friend, okay, or partner. For some of you, if you're in a relationship, people assume that it's 50-50. It's not one person spoiling the other and the other person just enjoying it. Like, it's balanced. People assume that you have a balanced relationship with everyone in your life, especially if you have maintained long-term relationships, long-term friendships. It's because it's been equal. Okay, we do have the Seven of Cups, so people do make assumptions that you have a lot of options. When you, especially with the under give yourself the best, people assume that you're very attractive and therefore you must have lots of options, especially if you're single. Even if you're not single, like, people just assume that there are a lot of people vying for your attention, and if someone isn't acting up, like, you know that there could be someone else that you could go to instead. Like, not in a way where it's shady or you have a backup option, but people assume that if you wanted to, you could. Like, you have people who are happy to meet your needs, even if your partner isn't, you know. But we do have the Seven of Cups in terms of like dreams. So people see you as a dreamer. Like, you're very ambitious. You believe that anything is possible. Like, you guys could be very positive minded people, and you inspire other people to be positive minded as well. So people assume that because you have big dreams, big goals, aspirations, high expectations for your life, other people believe in you because you believe in yourself. So the assumption is that's how you actually end up attaining the things that you want, because of belief. Like, you know that this is what you want and you work hard towards it. Whenever you guys set a goal, you achieve it. Okay, or you're in the journey to achieving it. People also assume that you're an ideal candidate. Like, the assumption is that you make the perfect husband, wife, partner. So people do have a lot of crushes on you, and they assume it's because you are an ideal partner. Because we do have the twin flame, or someone who you have a connection with. Everybody thinks you're their soulmate. And I think it's because you guys understand people. Like, you know how to get to people on a deeper level. You know how to relate to people on a deeper level, and you understand people. You don't judge them. You uplift other people. You're everybody's cheerleader, and you're just a very good people's people. So people just start to think, like, they start to romanticize it. They start to think, oh my God, I think pile 3 is my soulmate. Pile 3 just gets me. But it could just be, maybe you have shared experiences with a lot of people, and instead of being judgmental, you kind of understand where they're coming from. So people start to think, oh my God, maybe they like me. Especially if you're someone who's very friendly and very kind. You may compliment people a lot, and they take these compliments to mean, is there a chance? There's a chance between us, you know? So I feel like a lot of people start to fall for you. So the assumption is you're an ideal person to date, and an ideal person to be friends with, an ideal person to just keep in their life. But yeah, you're very grounded. That's the assumption, that you're solid. But this can also be interpreted as confidence. Like, you may come across as, no one can threaten you. No one can make you feel out of your element, because you have so much self-confidence in who you are. Okay. But you may trigger people who don't. But that's what I'm getting for pile 3. Let me know if that's accurate, if you feel like that is how you actually are. But that's an assumption. Okay. Which one is, oh, this is pile 4. Okay. Pile 4, 33 minutes and 40 seconds. You guys chose Conserve. May you find the balance. We have the Goat and the Willow, overcoming obstacles. Giving Capricorn energy is giving shy energy. Some of you guys could be shy. We have number 4, Just Sing. Yeah, you guys chose 4. That's like stability. We have Ace of Swords, which is Gemini energy. Gemini, Libra, Aquarius actually is air energy. And then we have fire energy with the 9 of Wands. And then we have hiding. Oh yeah, okay. The assumption on you, powerful, is that you're very, I was not say conservative, but it could be conservative, but I meant reserved. The reason why I said accidentally said conservative is because we have conserve here. But you guys could be seen as very reserved, especially with the hiding. Like you may be shy and an introvert, or you may be someone who just likes to keep to yourself a lot. People don't really know where they stand with you. People don't know whether you like them or you hate them because you may not be talkative. You may just be the quietest person in the room, and they don't know if you're judging them. They don't know if you like them, you hate them. They can't read you. And it makes people feel very uncomfortable, powerful. With this 9 of Wands, people assume that you always have a guard up. Like people assume that you don't like them, you have a guard up, and you don't want to let people in. And honestly, this makes them uncomfortable because your energy is so hard to read, and people like to read people's energy as a means to know how to approach them, but then they don't know how to approach you. So if you're single and you're like, where are these people who are supposed to be the one that I'm meant to be with? Sometimes they just feel really intimidated. They don't know your energy. It's not an excuse though. I just feel like if someone likes you, they should approach you regardless, but that's just me. Yeah, people see that you like to conserve your energy, so it's giving homebody. Like people assume that you're a homebody. You don't like to be bothered by people. You like to just be left alone. Your guard is up. People may assume this because maybe you may have difficulties in your life, because we do have overcoming obstacles. So people may feel like you could be going through something that is very hard, or you just don't feel like sharing, so they just assume that I'll leave them to it. People sometimes mistake introverted people or people on the shyer end or people who just don't want to be as social with others to mean that they're depressed. They're like, because you're not giving me attention, you must be depressed. When sometimes people just thrive best when they're in their own comfort zone, in their own house. I mean, who doesn't want to sit, watch some TV and cuddle up with the sofas and just live life, you know? Like some people just, they don't feel like interacting with everyone. But people assume it's because you may have problems that you're going through, or you could be depressed. But regardless, people do feel like if you want to say something, you're not afraid to say it, but it would take someone having to ask you, because we have a just saying. So it's like you're very open and honest, you're very vulnerable. Like if someone asks you something, you're going to give them the truth, you're going to say it how it is. For some of you, could come across as blunt with the Ace of Swords, but if someone has a question to ask you, if someone wants to know something about you, you will say it. Like you're like, okay, well, this is what it is and this is how I'm feeling. But you're not gonna voluntarily like initiate a conversation and be like, oh, did you see the weather today? Like I'm getting this is the pile that people assume that you don't like to have conversations. But for some of you, I'm picking up, I don't think it's that you don't like to have conversations. You could just be the type of person that you don't like small talk. Like you like to talk about something worth talking about, and if there's no thing worth talking about, then you'd rather not talk. Like you guys are very selective of what you say. Okay. But you guys are very open and honest if you're with the right people. Like you're very selective. If there's someone you're close to, you don't mind being open and vulnerable with them. But if it's someone you're not close to, then you're a little bit closed off. But people also assume that you're very intelligent, you're very smart, sophisticated even. People may like the way you speak. They may feel like you're really well spoken. But we also have, the 9 of Wands energy is like, I'm a little bit defensive. Like people feel like you don't want to get close to them. And it's not like always a case of like, it depends on who you're dealing with though. Some people may take it personally. They may feel like, oh my God, powerful hates me. When other people may just be a bit more logical, or rooted in reality, as I like to call it, where they're like, I don't take it personal because I haven't done anything wrong to powerful. So maybe powerful is just not a social person. That's about it. You know, like some people just see that your defenses are up a little bit. Okay. But the assumption is, you just like to hide parts of yourself. Like you don't like to be like, you're not afraid to be vulnerable with the right people. If someone actually cares enough to find out stuff about you, but you don't volunteer any information. So you like to conserve your energy. And I get, like, if you have friends, like, you may not see them as often because you may meet up with a friend one day and then you're like, okay, I need a whole month to recharge now. Like, once a month may be enough for you, okay? Or once every 2 months, maybe even once a year or twice a year may be enough for you. It's giving lone wolf vibes, but that's the assumptions about you. You can correct me if I'm wrong, if you feel like, oh, that's not who I am, but that's just an assumption, okay? Don't forget to drop a comment down below and subscribe. And yeah. Okay, so pile 5. 3907, you guys chose stronger. May you find your roots wherever you walk. I'm hearing that it don't kill me, can only make me stronger. Like I'm getting like this is someone who's very resilient. Okay, we have the beaver and the birch, which is home. It's giving Cancerian energy. We have 48, you are safe. Some of you guys could be 48, you don't have to be, but 4 is all about stability and 8 is all about abundance. Add 4 and 8 together, you get 12. Okay, and that still rounds back to 3, which is support. Okay. Oh yeah, it's similar to power 4 a little bit. We have the 5 of wands, which is fire sign energy, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. And then we have 4 of cups, which is Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. And then we have I'm hurt. Okay, so with power 5, the assumption on you is that you are someone who is very like defensive. You may not be defensive, but people may take your lack of wanting to be close to them as defense. It's similar to power 4, and there may be some messages in you for power 4. You come across as emotionally closed off. Okay, some people may feel rejected by you, so the assumption is that you're someone who's emotionally unavailable. And you may be someone who is quick to want something very superficial with people, but you don't want to go in depth with people. You could be fighting people away whenever they try to have something like deeper or stronger with you. And people assume this is because you've been hurt in the past. We have I'm hurt. Okay, and people assume that you value your alone time and your safety, and it's not necessarily like, it's not giving the same vibe as power 4. Like power 4 is what was it? Power 4 is more of like, I'm introverted and I'm shy. But this power is giving me, you guys are extroverted, you're not shy, you actually don't mind being in company with other people, you don't mind sharing your space with people. It's just because you've been so hurt, it's like, okay, I'm going to retreat now. I'm going to be very selective with who I give my time and energy to. But it's not like you're afraid to talk to people. Like you still can be social when you need to, because you value your safety. I think you guys, the assumption is that you value stability, money, you're focused on your money right now, and you don't want to get involved with anyone who's not going to be beneficial for you. I'm also getting like, you are a supportive person. Like who you are to your core is you're very loving and you're very caring and supportive, and you protect your loved ones. You're a great person to your core. But it's like how it comes off to other people is that you're very selective, as in like, I don't want to help you, I don't want to help you, I don't care about you. Like you may come across as selfish to some people, but I'm getting a vibe that you guys are not selfish. You've just learned to be a bit more selective because you may have been taken advantage of, you may have been mistreated, you may have been made to feel like shit basically. So this time you're like, okay, I'm not gonna be nicey to just anyone. So some people may think that you're low-key a bitch depending on who you're talking to. Some people may think you're a very horrible person, or you're just mean, or you're superficial, or you know. But then I get a feeling that's not who you are. I feel like you're just very selective. It's like if you don't trust someone, then you're like, I'm not giving you the time of day, I'm not giving you my energy. But if you do trust someone, you're very loving. Okay, home, yeah, some people assume that you're a homebody and you value your home. Some of you guys could have a well decorated home. It's giving Taurus energy. But you guys value stability and fairness and anything that's going to benefit you in some sort of way. Not to say that you guys are a narcissist, but it's like if it doesn't bring any benefit to your life, then you don't really feel the need to even entertain it. And that's because you've known pain, you've known struggle, you've known having to pick up responsibilities and do everything by yourself for a long time. Okay, but we do have stronger. So people feel like you are a very strong person. It's giving Leo energy as well. Like you guys could be deemed as a very strong people. And that's because of the things you've gone through. And it's now made you wise up and see things in a different way. Okay, so yeah, and that could have stemmed from past pain, past hurt. And that's what people sense. They feel like you're emotionally unavailable. I'm getting that people who want to date you, Power 5, people who are really interested in you, but they feel like, oh no, Power 5 seems too guarded. Power 5 is a bitch, or Power 5 doesn't want me. I feel rejected by Power 5. And that just could be because you have high standards now, and you know what you bring to the table, and you're just hoping that that table gets brought back basically. But that's all what's coming up really. Fire sign, water sign energy coming through. You guys could have a mixture of water and fire. But yeah, I feel like you guys come across as different depending on who you're with. So when you trust someone, you're very generous, but when you don't, you're like, you could be like very closed off. okay? And sometimes in life, it's okay to own it. It's okay to be like, yeah, sometimes I can be a bitch, you know? And I'm a bitch to the people who deserve that side. But that's all I have for pile 5. Let me know how you feel about that in the comments. I'm going to move on to pile 6. Pile 6. What was pile 6? Oh, yeah, this is pile 6. Okay, 44 and 30 seconds. Pile 6. You guys chose offering. May you honor the earth. We have the Hound and the Pair, which is loyalty. We have 50, decorate. Okay, you guys could be 50, you don't have to be, but 5 is all about change. We have the Ace of Wands, which is fire sign energy, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. And then we have Cancer energy with the Chariot. And then we have Pride. Yeah, it's giving Leo. Water and fire energy, that's similar to pile 5. Okay, what are the assumptions made out of you? Okay. There's an assumption for you, pile 6, that you have pretty privilege. Even if you feel like you don't. Even if you're like, what, pretty, where, pretty, who? People don't be treating me like that. But there's an assumption that you get pretty privilege. Even if you feel like you don't think highly of yourself. And this can also pertain to men as well. Like, as a man watching this, you could get, like, pretty privilege as well. Or handsome privilege if you prefer that title, you know, as well. And that's because I'm getting, okay, don't take this the wrong way, past 6, but I'm getting that people see you as someone who had a glow up, and that glow up is allowing people to like see you differently and want to take care of you and want to like basically be up your ass. It may not be true. And the reason why I said don't take it the wrong way is because I feel a bit weird when I tell someone like, oh, like that's a glow up, because it sometimes can imply that you found that person ugly before and now you find them attractive, and I that's not my intention, but I'm worried that that's how it will come across. So that's why I'm like, I don't know how you're gonna take it, but that's how people are viewing you. They're viewing you as someone who had a glow up, and because of that you have people who are wanting to treat you better or whatever it may be. The assumption about you, though, is that you're a good person. We have loyalty. So people assume that not only that you attract people who are going to be loyal to you, but people know that you are loyal as well. So the assumption is that you're a loyal person. In your friendships, in your relationships, when you love someone, you love hard, okay? Yeah, and people also assume that you're always changing up your appearance. I think I can relate to that. I don't think this is my pile, but I feel like I do the same thing. And maybe it's a Gemini thing or a mutable sign energy thing. You guys may change things up a little bit because maybe you get bored of doing the same thing. Yeah, so that leads me to thinking that you guys, there's an assumption that you guys are overactive. We also have offering. So the assumption about you is that you have a lot to bring to the table. Like you offer a lot of people responsibilities that are going to be helpful for them long term. So for some of you, you could be a boss, like you offer people jobs. But this could also be you offer people money, you offer people support, you offer people a lot of opportunities in general, you offer people a lot of love, a lot of advice, wisdom, because you really want to see people grow, okay? We do have pride here, and this could have 2 or 3 meanings. For some of you, the assumption is that you are part of the LGBT pride, as in like you swing both ways, or you're into the same sex, or whatever it may be. Like people assume that you're into pride, whether you're hiding in the closet or not. But for others of you, this pride could just be about like you take pride in your appearance, especially since it was under decorate. So people assume that you take good care of your appearance because that's how you feel the most confident, or it gets you pretty privileged, if you will. People feel like, yeah, you are very proud of yourself. And again, that's a second meaning of pride, but the other pride could be like you're prideful, okay? To be honest with you, I'm not getting a prideful energy, because I'm getting like you guys are very, you know, very kind and generous and loyal and devote. So I'm not getting that you come across as prideful, but for who knows, like that could resonate with someone out there where the assumption is that you are a prideful person. Like you may feel like even if you feel a lot of things, you may be very prideful, you may be hesitant, or you could be prideful in a way where if you need help, you don't accept it. You'd rather just offer help to other people but not accept help. Or for some of you, the assumption is you're prideful because you don't accept compliments. You know, for example, people may compliment you, you may be like, oh, stop it. You know, like you may feel like you don't want to accept that compliment. So it could be a little bit of prideful energy. Or rejecting help because you don't want to look weak, or you don't want to feel like you're a handout, you know. Some people may feel like you mask your emotions, so you may be prideful in wanting to say like, I'm not okay. Okay, but I'm getting more so the pride that is coming the most strong is pride in your appearance. You take pride in how you look, you take pride in yourself. Okay, with this Ace of Wands, people always assume that you're always up to something new, like you like new. If you're in a relationship, people assume that, don't take this the wrong way, they assume that everything's going well because it's the beginning. Like you may get bored afterwards and move on, like, because there's something about fast movement here with the Chariot and the Ace of Wands. People feel like you like something new in the beginning, and then after a while it's like if it gets stale, you're like, I need something new. And it doesn't have to be in a relationship, but that was just one thing coming through for some of you. For others of you, this is just your overall life. This could even just be your appearance. It's like, I'm bored of this style, let me change it up. Or I'm bored of this job, I want to switch jobs. Or I'm bored of this hobby, I want to try something new. Like regardless, I'm getting an energy of someone who likes new and fresh things. And you guys could also come across as new and fresh. Like you have new and fresh ideas for things. For some of you, you could be the youngest in your family, or the youngest in certain environments like workplace, school place, whatever it may be. You could be the youngest out of people doing something similar to you, basically, but you're seen as vibrant and have a high vitality, and that's why I'm saying that. But very loyal, very devout. I heard keep it in the home. So if there's something happening in your life, you guys could be a little bit private. So maybe that's where the pride is coming from. Is like you take pride in having a great reputation for things going well in your home. Even if they're not, it's like you would never allow anyone to think that anything is a problem. Like you don't share because you don't want to be exposing people to any problems you may be going through. That's the assumption on you. But with the Chariot, people assume, for some of you guys could have a really good car. Okay, sometimes the Chariot can denote car. It does make me think of car. It reminds me of something I was watching. Intuitive Rose, shout out to Intuitive Rose. And whenever she picks up the Chariot, she thinks of a car as well. And I'm like, oh my God, I can relate. That's what comes to my mind. So some of you guys could have a really nice car. People could assume that you drive a nice car, even if they've never seen you have a car. But regardless, people assume that you are quick to move forward with life. Like if you want to say something, you say it in the moment. Like if you want to do something, you do it. You guys can come across as very impulsive to other people. Like when you have an idea, you want to do it. And because I accidentally said beer, maybe some of you guys have a reputation or an assumption that you drink, that you drink a lot, or don't take this the wrong way, like beer belly for some of you if you're a masculine. But people like the duality to you, because even though the Chariot is not about duality, it's not a Gemini card. I pay attention to the black cat and the white cat. Well, not cat, they're called Sphinx, I think. I pay attention to those two and how they're very different. So people could assume that you have different sides to you. Some of you, it could just be black and white thinking. Like maybe some people assume you have black and white thinking, but for others, it's more to do with like, there's a duality to you. Like there's a dark side and a light side, and you're not afraid to embrace both. I'm also getting just fast movement with things. So if you really like someone, you're like, we're in a relationship today. Or if you're, especially if you're an Aries, okay, or if you are have an idea for something really cool, it's like, all right, let's start planning it, let's do it. You know, you're very quick with it. You guys could also be very witty, very quick with it. But that's the assumption made out of you. Overall, it's giving good vibes. I'm getting maturity, but also inner child vibes. Like you're not afraid to have that fun little playful side, but there's also this maturity side to you. You're very tranquil. I don't know why that word came, because it had nothing to do with what I was discussing, but that's what I heard, tranquil. You like to be at peace with yourself, okay? But you also give Taurus energy though, like leisure and work, but then you love the finer things in life, or you love pouring into yourself and luxury, because you feel like I deserve it. I've worked hard. But that's what I'm getting. I'm gonna go over to the last pile 7, which is 53 minutes and 48 seconds, pile 7. You guys chose key. May you let the answer come. We have the owl on the hop, which is wisdom. We have 16, it's not an emergency. 1 is all about new beginnings, new portals, independence, and 6 is all about balance and reciprocity. Add them together, you get 7, which is all about learning. We have the Judgment card, which I don't know which sign this is attributed to, but some people read it as Scorpio, some people read it as Virgo. I'm going to just read it as Scorpio. And then we have the Knight of Cups, which is water sign energy, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. And then we have I'm sorry. So what are the assumptions made on you? Pile 7, the last pile. I feel like I've been sitting here for quite a while, and this is me sitting on the ground. The assumption on you is that you're very wise. We literally have wisdom here, okay? You guys are very wise people. You're the type of person that has sound advice. You're the type of person that people come to for advice. Like whenever something is needed in their life, they're gonna come to you. And I just wanna clarify that just because that smart and wise friend is someone who has all the answers, it doesn't mean that they have all the answers. Sometimes they themselves need to seek answers. I just wanna preface that right now because, preface not preference, preface that because I have a because I feel like with people, like I'm a tarot reader myself, and so people come to me to consult with information and advice. Even in my friendship groups, even outside of spirituality, people want my advice on stuff, and I feel flattered by that. But then people forget that there are other times where I also need advice and I also need, you know, guidance as well. So just want to make that clear. Okay, people assume that you have all the answers. We have wisdom, we have key. May you let the answer come. People feel like you are able to solve all people's problems. Like if people have issues, they feel like pile 7 is a very wise and very mature pile. I'm gonna go to pile 7. And it's because of how smart you are. And it's like it's a kind of wisdom that's more like life wise, as in like you're wise beyond your years, spirituality, and not so much, physics, you know, mathematics kind of wise. But people assume you always have the answer to everything. Like no matter what, like you always have the answer. For some of you, it could even just be a rebuttal. Like you always know the right things to say to people whenever, you know, things need to be said. Or if someone needs to be comforted, you always know the right words to say to make them feel comforted, okay? We do have, it's not an emergency, so people feel like you don't hold on to things for very long. It's like you like harmony, you like balance, and it's like you've come to realize that certain things are not worth stressing over, certain things are not worth getting flustered over. It kind of reminds me of a meme that I saw on Instagram, which was hilarious, of this girl. I don't know her name, I don't know her handle, but I think it was titled something like when you react to things in a very abnormal way. Like for example, like someone could literally just tell you, by the way, I don't know, I'm trying to think of something not morbid because I'm about to say, your dog died, but I'm like, maybe that's not the best example, but like say for example, you've made an application to get into a certain university, for example, or a certain job, and you got rejected. Like your kind of reaction isn't like, oh man, this sucks. Like you don't react that way. The assumption is that you take everything so lightheartedly, as in you may react in a way that's like, well, I guess that sucks, but what we're having for dinner. Like you kind of get over it. Like you don't see it as a big deal. Even if it is a big deal, it's like you don't see any L's or any losses as something that you need to be dramatically like, oh no, my life is over. Like you don't overthink the situation. You kind of just like, this sucks, but meh, let me focus on other things right now. Like you just seem very nonchalant. Like like a pile of it kind of reminds me of like a pile of dishes is just overpiling, and you're like, yeah, I'll get to it when I get to it. I don't have the energy to do that now. I have the energy to do that later. Like it doesn't bother you. Or say for example, if you're wearing like, okay, I'm wearing a dress. Like say for example, you're wearing a dress and it's raining outside, and then you go outside, you step outside, your dress touches a puddle. Like you're the type of person that you're like, it's not that deep. I'm the reason why I'm giving that example is because I'm thinking of Game of Thrones, Queen Marjorie. Like she stepped into a puddle with her long, beautiful dress, and one of her mistresses was saying, "Oh my God, Your Highness, your dress." She goes, "It's okay. I have others. I have more dresses than I have now. Like basically, like I have a wardrobe full of dresses. This is just one dress that's stuck in a puddle. It's not that deep." Like you guys may come off as nonchalant. Like the assumption is a lot of things don't really get to you. A lot of things don't really bother you. Okay. because you feel like life is so short, so you might as well live and let live, and enjoy the experience, as opposed to complain and get all mad over the most tiniest of things. We also have judgment. So the assumption is you're someone who, when you make an informed decision about something, it is final. And even if you do give second chances to people or situations, that alone is like a final decision. Like you would never get that opportunity again. Judgment is just someone who, like, they're just making a lot of like firm, like grounded, like decisions, and you're someone who makes those decisions based upon how you're feeling, how the energy is, not based upon what is appeasing to others. But this could also talk about second chances, as in you're quick to forgive people. Like you could be someone who you don't mind forgiving people, and forgiving doesn't always have to mean like, okay, now we have to be together, but forgiving as in you choose not to let such a bad experience taint the rest of your day or taint the rest of your life. You're like, it is what it is. Moving on, like I feel like this pile screams and exudes a lot of maturity that not many people can possess. Okay. People also feel judged by you. They feel like you are judging them, not in a way where it's like, oh my god, like that's like the most ugliest skirt I've ever seen, not that kind of judgment, but like, say for example, if someone comes to you about a problem or someone tells you about their life, they assume that you're thinking in their mind like, oh, like, how did you land yourself in this circumstance? Or, oh, like that doesn't seem like a wise decision. Or like, say for example, if you are a vegan and you're surrounded with people who eat meat, they may feel like you're looking at them like, oh my god, like you actually put that into your body? Oh, okay, each to their own. But you're not. Or if someone is less knowledgeable about things than you are, you're not judging them, but they may feel judged. They may feel like, oh my god, like I feel so stupid, I feel so intimidated by pile 7, I feel so dumb next to pile 7. Yet in reality, you're not judging them. You're just like, okay, it is what it is. I feel like this is a part that's very, very accepting, but then people make that assumption because they're projecting their own insecurities onto you. Okay, people assume that you're very romantic. Okay, we have the Knight of Cups energy. People feel like when you like someone or you like something, you like to serve them, you like to court them. You're very smooth with your words. You say the right things, you do the right things. It doesn't take much to appease people. Like people feel like you can have your way with them just by the way you talk to them, because I'm hearing smooth operator. Like you're very romantic, and people, if you're in a relationship, people assume that you're a very romantic person. Like you love love, you love sweetness, and you can be cheesy, and it's just cute. It's cute, and people assume that. People also see you as very poetic. You're someone who has a lot of depth. They assume you have a lot of depth. They assume that if you were to write poems, like those poetry like would make anyone cry. Like you're just very in depth and very in touch with your emotions and your creativity, your artistry. Some of you guys could be Pisces, but it's just very sweet. It's giving Romeo and Juliet. And you know how some people see romance novels or romance movies as like, oh, but that's a fantasy. You're a living, breathing embodiment of a romance novel or a movie. Like people just see you as very loving and very sweet. It's giving Jesus loves you. We have I'm sorry here. So the judgment could also be relating to that. People assume that you're someone who takes accountability. You're someone who's not afraid to say, I'm wrong, I'm sorry. Even if you're not wrong, you're the type of person that because you love peace and you love everyone so much, you're like, oh, it's not much of a big deal. I will apologize, even if I don't feel like I did anything wrong. I just want to keep the peace. Like you are someone who could be held accountable, and you're not afraid to be held accountable. In fact, you want to be held accountable. So like you guys are very sweet people. Like I feel like this is a very wise pile, very mature pile. I would not be surprised if you guys are parents or you guys are older in your age, because it's giving very like wise, very, very much like I've seen a few things, I've learned a few things, I've healed a few things, so that's why my mindset's this way. And people really do feel that energy. You have a lot of people who respect you, and they respect you so much to the point that they feel like you're judging them even if you're not. And they know deep down that you're not a judgmental person, but they just feel like a little bit like insecure next to you, or a little bit like, oh my god, how can I show myself in front of pile 7 like this? People also assume that your morals and your values could be hard to attain. Like they feel like you're very principled as a person, and they feel like they're just dirty next to you. They feel like, oh my God, like I can never measure up to Pal 7's level of goodness. I feel like I am a sinner, or I feel like I'm not worthy of being with Pal 7. But that's just an assumption. You could be the whole time thinking, what, you think I'm perfect? I'm far from it. But that's how people feel. Okay, that's what people's assumptions are. Okay, so you let me know in the comments if that resonates with you. I could be wrong. That may not even be who you are, but that's an assumption. So let me know your thoughts, and let me know what you guys want to see next. And shout out to Al's Intuition. That's where I got the idea from. But yeah, take care. I'm gonna end the video there. It's been a long video, like 1 hour and 4 minutes. Crikey. But yeah, I'm gonna end it there because I don't edit my stuff.